Allow me to expose my colon wasn't. The ramification inflicted on the incision placed within the fallopian cavities serves to be holistic, taken from the Latin word jalapeno.
I need TV for my bunghole.
These are the kind of guys you like to smack in the ass.
What the hell did you just say?
That's why I'm telling y'all, I'm not this year. I don't give a fuck. I'm not endorsing no fucking presidents no more. I wasn't gonna vote this year. I wasn't. But Kamala Harris joining the race, she changed my mind. That I want to see next in this country. All right?
Yeah.
I believe in every word that comes out of her mouth.
I believe in every word that comes out of her mouth.
We have a secure border in that is a priority for any nation, including ours and our administration.
What is up, guys? Tyson Dela Cruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. It is November 3rd. We're 2 days away. Shout out to everybody watching in the live chat. What's up, everybody? And if you're catching this on the replay, type in replay in the comment section. So Kamala Harris, absolute cringe fest on SNL. Let me see who's in the chat. What is up, everybody? Hopefully everybody's doing amazing today. We got a lot to talk about today. We got Kamala Harris going on SNL. We got, you already saw Cardi B. I don't need to recap. And guys, it's tough watching some of these clips of Kamala Harris. It was tough watching the Cardi B clip. I got to tell you that. She was stuck. The teleprompter broke and she didn't know what to say. Let's see who's in the chat. What's up? Minneapolis in the house. What is up? All right. Let's jump into the SNL skit really quick. I'm not gonna be able to play it in its entirety. I'm going to have to break it up just a little bit just for copyright claims. But I wanted to share this really quick. Back on October 1st, 2024, SNL bans Harris and Trump cameos this year not to run afoul of election laws. Then, coincidentally enough, Kamala Harris makes a surprise appearance on Saturday Night Live on November 2nd. You know how it is, guys. You know how it is. They tell you one thing. Guys, I don't have a gas mask, but if I did, I'd be wearing it on this stream for sure. Costa Rica in the house. What's up? What is up? All right. So we have Donald Trump's old skit from, I think it was 2016, with him and Jimmy Fallon. And it looks oddly familiar, right? It looks really familiar from what happened last night. So this is Donald Trump, Jimmy Fallon. I don't know if I said Fallon or Kimmel, but this is Jimmy Fallon.
Me.
But he goes on, Jimmy Fallon goes on, and he goes on to talk to Donald Trump in the mirror, and it's actually Donald Trump.
Me interviewing me, that's what I call a great idea.
Of course it's a great idea. We thought of it.
So that's what that's what Donald Trump did back in 2016, right? And then we have this absolutely cringeworthy. Apparently, Kamala Harris had to rehearse 3 hours for this skit. So this is Kamala Harris's skit. Doesn't it look oddly familiar, guys? It looks crazy familiar. Not only is she stealing no tax on tips, everything else that Donald, at this point, she might as well just, you know, put on some tanner and then put on a blonde wig, call herself Kamala Trump, because she's copycat Kamala. Exactly right, my mind. It is crazy. She literally copied Donald Trump's skit from SNL. Oh.
Just here to see you, Kamala. It is nice to see you. It is nice to see you, Kamala. It is nice to see you, Kamala. And I'm just here to remind you, you got this. Because you can do something your opponent cannot do.
Yuck.
You can open doors.
This is gross.
They're like to a garbage truck, right? I don't really laugh like that, do I?
I don't really laugh like that, do I? Just in case says we're living in an alternate universe. I don't know what timeline we're in, but this one is a trip.
Now, Kamala, take my Kamala. The American people want to
Oh my gosh.
and end the drama.
And the drama.
With a cool new stepmama. Get back in our pajamas and watch a rom Kamala.
So basically, this actress, I think her name's Maya Rudolph. She had to carry Kamala Harris through this whole skit here.
Like Legally Blondula. And start decorating for Christmas. Follow Lola.
I have to excuse the quality on this video, but I'm doing it for copyright purposes because we all know what happens when the copyright Gestapo come after us, right, guys?
Because what do we always say? Keep Kamala and carry on, Allah.
Oh man. Yeah.
I'm going to vote for us. Great. Any chance you are registered in Pennsylvania? No, I'm not.
Oh, did you guys watch it live? How many of you guys watched it live? I'm pleased. I hope you didn't. It was Sandra says I'm gonna vomit. Yeah, the first time I watched this, it was blah, you know? Andrew says yuck. Yep. Yeah, I agree with that. My mind, yes, we are in a copy paste timeline. You know, why couldn't they come up with a new skit for her? And why did they say that they're not going to bring any candidates on and they bring on Kamala Harris? Like what? Like I don't understand. And it's okay if SNL does it, right? It's okay if the leftist biased media does it, but it's not okay if Fox does it. Or imagine if Donald Trump pulled this. They would say, "Oh, he has no original ideas." Man, this guy's campaign has been rocking, by the way. So we got a couple things to share with you guys. I just wanted to share that really quick. And then I'm going to share a little, this is 13 seconds. Okay. So bear with me. This is 13 seconds of Cardi B's speech.
I believe in every word that comes out of her mouth. She's passionate, she's compassionate, she shows empathy, and most of all, she is not delusional. Yeah.
Yeah, she is not delusional. She was stuck for a good solid minute because the teleprompter's broke, and she tried to speak without the teleprompter, but then immediately stopped. And I'm sure you guys saw this across the entire intro webs. But she tried to speak. She couldn't. So she stopped. And then she had her assistant bring up her phone. And
I believe in every word that comes out of her mouth. She's passionate, she's compassionate, she shows empathy, and most of all, she is not delusional.
Yeah. Stephanie asked what channel was the SNL, what channel is SNL on? It's on NBC, and it looks like Justin said, I heard against FCC guidelines as it's too close to election to hear. FCC lady warned her. Yep. It's yeah, guys. And then Candace Owens, I guess, Sexy Red also endorsed Kamala Harris and immediately tweeted something about coochies, protecting coochies. These are solid endorsements, guys. Kamala Harris has a solid endorsement team. Oh my gosh. It's at this point, who believes any of these folks? If you believe any of these folks, it is I don't know why you would, right? I don't know why you would. You got Hollyweird endorsing Kamala Harris. And at this point, it's gross. Mr. Fetterman was on Joe Rogan. And Joe Rogan asked him some pretty solid questions. What's up, Gina? Gina in the house. Gina in the house. Shout out to all the mods, by the way. Again, if you guys are catching this on the replay, type in replay in the comment section down below. So Mr. Fetterman was on Joe Rogan, and they talked about a series of things. They talked about the border. They talked about misinformation. And man, if Fetterman can do Rogan, Kamala could too, right? At this point, we gotta push. We gotta make this a push. But here is Fetterman on Rogan.
First Democrats saying, hey, we need a secure border. It's a significant issue. And if I thought there was any kinds of issues, and I've been very vigilant throughout, I've been actively involved in those kinds of things. And I've never witnessed those kinds of a thing.
But what do you mean by issues? Like what kind of issues you're talking about? You're talking about people letting people in order to get votes?
Well, it's not. There's not that level kinds. I don't think there's that level kinds of organization.
But there is an organization that's moving these people to swing states. There's a significant number of these people that are illegal immigrants that have made their way to swing states. And then there's been calls for amnesty. There's been calls for allowing these people to have a pathway to citizenship and allow them to vote. The fear that a lot of people have is that this is a coordinated effort to take these people that you're allowing to come into the country, then you're providing them with all sorts of services like food stamps and housing and setting them up, then providing a pathway to amnesty. And then you would have voters that would be significantly voting towards the Democrats because they're the people that enabled them to come into the country in the first place and provided them with those services. This is a big fear that people have, and that you're rigging this system and that this will turn all these states into essentially locked blue like California is.
Well, it's immigration is always going to be a tough issue in our nation. I had as a professor in grad school, Alan Simpson, and he was a United States senator. He was Wyoming and he was actually a pro-choice Republican. I mean, how rare that would be. Well, it doesn't exist now. And he said, you are never going to have any meaningful immigration kinds of legislation. He's like, because both sides, that's useful for them, and it's going to be back and forth. And he said that 25 years ago.
Useful meaning the debate, having it always a political
it's
talking
useful
point.
for one side or the other. It's useful. And he said they were never going to be. And he said that in 1999.
Mm-hmm.
And I voted for the border deal, and that went down. And that's, I mean, he said that 25 years ago, and that was absolutely true now, that they had an opportunity to do a comprehensive border, bipartisan, and that went down because Trump, he declared that's a bad deal after it was negotiated with the other side.
But didn't that deal also involve amnesty? And didn't that deal also involve a significant number of illegal aliens being allowed into the country every year? I think it was 2 million people.
Somebody was asking about, we'll get back to the video here. I just want to pause it because of copyright. But yeah, Beyonce got paid $10 million to talk for 3 minutes. $10 million. And secretly, which isn't openly publicized as of recently, they sent more money to Ukraine. And it seems like the stories from the hurricane, those individuals that were affected by the hurricane, have kind of been washed under the rug.
So it's still the same sort of situation. And their fear is exactly what I talked about, that these people will be moved to swing states, and that will be used to essentially rig those states and turn them blue forever.
Joe Rogan makes a really good point here, has these illegal migrants coming in, and then they bring them to sanctuary cities that were predominantly blue states. And he's saying, okay, these individuals go, and then now those sanctuary cities become permanent blue states because of illegal migration.
Well, I'm not really sure if that's what's in play. I think it's really it's important that we have an honest conversation.
But doesn't that seem logical though? If you have a significant number of people that are being moved into swing states that have come across the border illegally, and then you've provided them with all these services, you provided them with food stamps, EBT, you've provided them with housing. You could, if you gave those people amnesty and allowed those people to vote, and it was very organized. You're talking about 75,000 votes over a few counties that switched everything over to the Republicans.
How many of you guys agree with that?
You could see how you import 10 million people over the course of 4 years illegally, and then move a significant number of them to swing states, and then provide them with all these services, and then give them a path to citizenship. You could essentially rig those states.
Yeah. And I think that's the plan, right? Presumably that's the plan, right? Is to get them to come in and then permanently turn those into blue states.
It's the polish of speaking like a congressman, like a senator, like a presidential candidate. But it's this kind of bullshit way of communicating that's inauthentic, that even though it's effective, even though it's polished and smooth, people never get a sense of who that person is as a human being. Well, Trump is not polished. He's not polished in that sense, but you get a sense of who he is as a human being. There doesn't seem to be a veil. There doesn't seem to be this, this disconnect between a human being and the thoughts. You might not agree with him. You might think he's crass or rude, but at least you know that he's the guy that's talking. These are his thoughts, and people trust that way more than they trust someone who's, polished but full of shit.
Yeah, no, it's that Scarface. Yep. It's like, word and balls.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna, and that's, you're losing politically if you're telling people to not believe what their eyes are seeing.
What? Hold up.
You're losing politically if you're telling people to not believe what their eyes are seeing.
Right.
I haven't watched this entire interview, but there's just a few clips here. But Fetterman calls BS on the 2016 Russia claims. What happened in 2016 was here we go.
But to be honest, that election wasn't turned on, I think, Russian interference. I'm not. What happened in 2016 was Trump, he plugged into like kinds of an energy, or like it was just like kind of looking to make that kind of a connection there.
Well, he's a legitimate outsider. This is the appeal. The appeal is that people think that this system is completely rigged and it's captured by money. And
how many of you guys agree with what Joe Rogan just said? Here, I'll rewind it.
The appeal is that people think that this system is completely rigged and it's captured by money and special interests and enormous corporations. And that here's a guy who's outside of this system completely. And the evidence of that is how the system turned against him, and how you got to see people on television every night talking about Russiagate, talking about how he's a puppet of Putin, talking about the Steele dossier, talking about all these different things that turned out to not be true. And it further
I never bought into some of that kind of a stuff, because if anyone that spent any time on the ground in one of those states, it's like, it's very clear that wasn't because of some small kinds of tweets and things like whatever. It's undeniable. But to be honest,
Gina, Pandagate. Yep. So those of you that are new in the chat and haven't seen the previous video, Joe Biden dressed up as a panda, and this is what Gina is referencing. And then Nicole Shanahan went on Tucker Carlson's paid live event and talked about how disgraceful that is for the first lady to dress up like a panda. If you're not familiar with that, go Google it. Please, do your research. I advise everybody in the chat to do the research about the panda stuff, particularly pertaining to, somebody say it in the chat. 2 days before the election, Kamala Harris surrogate John Fetterman is on CNN and saying that there's a definite connection between Pennsylvania voters and the energy around Donald Trump.
And I've been saying this, whether it was Biden or then became Harris, I said it's going to be very close. And Trump definitely has a connection with voters here in Pennsylvania, and that's why it's going to be close. And I've been saying this, whether it was Biden or then became Harris, I said it's going to be very close. And Trump definitely has a connection with voters here in Pennsylvania, and that's why it's going to be close.
Donald Trump just also added, I don't know. Sugar says SNL so out. Yeah, 100%. And then, if you're interested in what Gina said about the pandas, reference her recent chat. But it is, Donald Trump added a lot more to his schedule in regards to the rally schedule. He's going balls to the walls, if you would. I think he added like 4 or 5 more rallies in particular swing states. So, yep. Juan says Trump has the Avengers team: Vance, Tulsi, RFK, Vivek, Elon, Tucker, and more. Byron, Miss Hubba, like all these freaking rock stars. And Kamala Harris is endorsed by puppets from Hollywood and the music industry, presumably, possibly On the E&D list. The E&D list. CNN is flipping the script again. This is interesting because Kamala Harris has multiple campaigns running in different swing states with different messaging. And I think this is one of the main reasons why it's so confusing, especially for I'm going to say independent or voters that are on the fence, because her messaging is so unclear.
File investigation this hour finds Kamala Harris is targeting crucial battleground voters with vastly different messages on Gaza and Israel. This ad is running in Michigan, which has the largest Arab population in America.
What has happened in Gaza over the past 9 months is devastating. We cannot allow ourselves to become numb to the suffering, and I will not be silent.
All right, well, it's a very different story for an ad in Pennsylvania targeting Jewish voters.
Let me be clear. I will always stand up for Israel's right to defend itself, and I will always ensure Israel has the ability to defend itself, because the people of Israel must never again face the horror that a terrorist organization called Hamas caused on October 7.
Different message. Andrew Kaczynski
Yep.
is out front now. So, Andrew, those obviously do sound starkly different, to say the least. Tell me more about what you found.
Yeah, that's right. And look, this really illustrates the sort of fine line that the Harris campaign is trying to walk here in the closing weeks, closing days of this campaign on the issue of Israel. Here you have two entirely different constituencies, and they are getting two entirely different messages. There are often times these constituencies have very opposing views on this. If you are a Jewish person in Pennsylvania, you saw that ad that you're getting. You are getting that ad that talks about how strong she is in Israel. If you're a Muslim voter in Michigan, you are getting that ad on Facebook that's talking about how she won't be silent on the issue of Gaza. Now, what's really interesting here is that ad that we just played, the one that's going to Jewish voters in Pennsylvania. Now, it sort of sounds like those two clips of her talking about Israel are together, but they actually cut part of it out. Take a listen to what they cut.
What has happened in Gaza over the past 10 months is devastating. President Biden and I are working to end this war such that Israel is secure, the hostages are released, the suffering in Gaza ends, and the Palestinian people can realize their right to dignity, security, freedom, and self-determination.
And you've seen too that she, they cut out that portion of the ad where they talked about Gaza from her DNC speech. Those two parts were together. They sliced them. They cut that part out. Now, look, she's also getting hammered a lot on this issue by Republicans. We talked just a couple days ago about how those robocalls were airing in Wisconsin that are made to sound like they're in support of Jill Stein, talking about her position on Gaza, saying that they're highlighting her pro-Israel position, and they're sort of trying to siphon those votes away from her. So this is a really delicate issue for her.
So they don't have clear messaging going on forward. Gina said, have you guys seen the image of all the collage of all the celebrities that have endorsed Kamala Harris? Well, here it is right here. Shout out to Gina for pointing that out. So as you guys can see here, we got P. Diddy Combs, we got Jay-Z, we got Taylor Swift, we got Ellen DeGeneres. I was going to make a joke there, but couldn't think of one quickly enough. Beyonce, we got Ben Stiller. That's disappointing. Oprah Winfrey, Madonna, J-Lo, and then Leonardo DiCaprio. This is one of the collages of all the celebrities that have particularly endorsed Kamala Harris, and they all kind of have one thing in common: music industry and Hollywood celebrities. I wonder why. Now, we have Mr. There's been a lot of this election, like voter suppression, if you would. I'm going to say voter suppression from the Dominion machines. We talked about that in a previous video. But yep, those are all those are all Diddy Party endorsements. Yep. Leo's Annabeth says Leo's last pick is bad. Yeah, you know, it's interesting because he said that he endorsed Kamala Harris because of climate change, yet he's riding around in his big old yacht. He really cares about the environment, or he cares more about his reputation management. My mind says, I can never believe in Kamala Harris. She's the biggest plagiarizer in American history. Even her book is full of gaslighting lies. Yes, it is. You know, I don't know if you guys have been following Candace Owens. Candace Owens has been doing an epic investigation on Kamala Harris's history. And to recap it really quickly is the black woman that Kamala Harris claims to be her grandma is not even a grandma. It's the help. It's the help because Kamala Harris descends from a long line of slave owners, and she is Irish, Jewish, and Hindu, not even black. And if that alone, like, she put on the ultimate blackface. She put on the ultimate blackface to appeal to black voters, and she doesn't even have a hint of quote unquote blackness in her. And then she was on Shannon Sharp, and then Shannon Sharp asked her the question. And I think Kamala Harris's camp is privy to what Candace Owens has been doing. And she kind of backpedals and says, oh, you know, I was raised from my dad. I was raised with my dad and my mom, and my mom introduced me to black culture, and she introduced me to this person that I call uncle and this person that I call auntie, and they just so happen to be black. So now she can claim that she's black. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense. But Candace Owens is doing an epic, yeah, Gina. Candace Owens is actually doing an epic job there. And then she was on. I might stream this on the Discord because of YouTube copyright. But and if you're not part of the Discord group, the Discord link will be in the description down below. But she went on with Alex Jones. I know we can't say Alex Jones on the YouTube, but she was speaking about how her mother could have possibly, presumably, been part of the MK Ultra program, and stating that Kamala Harris is the ideal candidate for or participant for MK Ultra.
Look, in the state of Michigan, we know now, and this is not me making it up, I can't believe it hasn't received more coverage, a Chinese national registered to vote and voted. And now, you know, he's being charged for doing that. But guess what? His ballot's going to count. We know at least one non-citizen's ballot is going to count in Michigan because they don't know which ballot is and they can't retrieve it. These are facts. Right. Now, whether that's widespread or not, I hope not. But these are things that are happening and they need to be watched at. As far as foreign adversaries, sure. I mean, Iran wants to kill Donald Trump. Iran, this has been fully documented. They are trying to kill Donald Trump. You talk about violent rhetoric. He's the only candidate in this race, and not because I wish this on anybody else, who's had not one but two assassination attempts against his life.
Right.
So of course we're all concerned about it.
Right. In terms of the case you talked about in Michigan, we have tracked that. The Secretary of State of that state has actually brought charges, has made that public. That individual may actually be deported. May actually be deported because there are laws in this country that punish people when they are illegal and they try to vote in federal elections. That 19-year-old is going to face some consequences.
He is, and he's going to, but his vote still counts.
Yep.
His vote will still be counted.
Understood.
And Project Veritas was doing an undercover investigation. They had this Irishman go up, non-citizen go up.
Look, in the state of Michigan,
a ballot. and he was still able to vote. He was still able to vote. And here is Maye Musk, from the one and only Elon Musk, talking about this particular situation regarding non-citizens voting.
Mark Cuban said.
Oh, this one is actually regarding Mark Cuban, and then we're going to get into Miss Maye Musk talking about the voter stuff.
This about strong and Mark Cuban made the comment about strong, intelligent women are never around Donald Trump. And I wanted to get your reaction to that.
Well, it's certainly not us. And it's certainly not my friends, because they can put sentences together and you know who can't. The absurdity of the absurd in the absurdity and is absurd. I mean,
of course.
Really. Yeah.
The queen of word salads herself, right?
Mark Cuban.
Somebody asked about election night. Yeah, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do an election watch party. Probably start around 7 p.m. PST and rock until maybe 2 a.m. The hopes is that it'll be done by, let's say 2 a.m. Eastern time. But yeah, and I'll post that here in the next day. Actually, probably tomorrow. I have to post it tomorrow. So I like Elon's mom, by the way. Here she is about bragging about voter fraud.
Now, you had an experience, I guess you were voting in New York and were surprised when you voted in New York that you needed no ID. Yeah. And you had said after that, I believe these remarks have since gone down, so you can correct me on that. Earlier you said the Democrats have given us another option. You don't have to register to vote. On election day, have 10 fake names, go to 10 polling booths and vote 10 times. That's 100 votes, and it's not illegal. Maybe we should work the system too. I think you have disavowed that, or maybe you can update me.
Well, the thing is, if you don't have to have ID, actually my Canadian friends are going to go and vote because they don't have to have ID. And I don't know if they really are, but they can vote at every booth if they want to, because no ID, you can just vote. And so that's very scary that they would not look at my ID in New York.
Interesting. And from that experience, what did you take away?
Well, I could take away that if I was dishonest, I could go to every booth in every polling station in New York and vote, or even go back to the same one every hour.
I want to know, chat, those of you that are already voted, did they ask you for your ID? Did they ask you for your ID? And if they did, here in Nevada, they asked me for my ID, and then I signed it like I've been signing documents for the past 6 years. But my ID was originated, I don't know, 10 years ago or something like that, and they've just been renewing the photo or whatever. So the signature didn't match, so I had to re-sign. But that was interesting. Let me see. Elon's mom is the best, yeah. They had me show mine 3 times before I could vote. Yes, so they had me show ID, cool. Justin says, yeah. Yes, we have to show ID in North Carolina. Dave says that's racist to ask for ID. It's funny that you bring that up because I just watched, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but I just watched Am I Racist by Matt Walsh. It was great. Very interesting look at, he actually ends up getting DEI certified and then puts on a wig and a disguise and all this stuff. Joe had asked earlier, was it Joe? Let me see. Joe had asked earlier if I dove down the rabbit hole of Bono, and I did dive down the rabbit hole of Bono. If you guys remember a live stream ago, Bono was heating up the chat. It was heating up all the chat, and I was like, I gotta see what's going on with Bono. I'm gonna put together something regarding this Bono situation because it is very interesting. Yeah. We'll see if it gets taken down. Stephanie says yes. In Virginia, we got to ask for ID. Yep. Let's see where else. Can government create systems of fingerprint scanners for citizens? I think that would be better. I don't know if they would do that, because so much of their budget goes to these 3-letter things like FBI, CIA. So much money goes to that. I don't know if they would reallocate, but I tell you what, if and when Donald Trump gets in, I know they're going to relook at the way that elections are being held, because I think that the way that elections are being held now, specifically with this mail-in ballot stuff and these presumably hackable Dominion machines, it doesn't seem like we have a free and fair election. Dave says they never asked for ID in Chicago. Wow. That's crazy. South Dakota requires ID as well. Let's see. Oh, thank you so much, Denise. Really, really appreciate you. Thank you so much for the super chat. Really, really appreciate you. Shout out to Denise. No. Yeah. No ID in Utah. I had to show mine in San Diego. I'm going to share 2 savage moments. Now, these are voter eligible incarcerated individuals. And I thought this was an incredible savage moment because they interviewed eligible voters that were incarcerated. And here's what they had to say about who they're voting for and why.
Most of the guys on the block are.
First off, that is the most epic thing to say off the jump.
Most of the guys on the block.
Most of the guys on the block
are wanting President Trump.
Come on. Most of the guys on the block want Donald Trump. Come on, man.
I mean, there's a couple that's talked about Kamala Harris.
I'm still part of the community, even though I'm behind these walls.
Angela Smith has been at this facility for almost a year, serving time for a misdemeanor DUI. A registered Republican for more than 20 years, she's planning to vote for Trump.
I just feel that they pulled up a lot of stuff on him that they could pull that up on anybody if they wanted to. I can relate to him. I can relate to what he's going through.
Most of the guys on the block are wanting President Trump.
That should be an ad right there. Most of the guys on the block are wanting Donald Trump. Donald Trump, I approve this message. When does everybody think that the results are going to be called? This is a great question from Justin. I hope, fingers crossed, I hope the night of, and I don't want to give this, I hope it's an L slide. I hope it's an L slide. But we know how it went last go around. I went to sleep and I woke up and somebody else, Trump was in the lead. I woke up and Biden got it. I don't know. Where can I see the Matt Walsh movie? I watched it off of the Daily Wire platform. Yeah, even 24-hour fitness has finger scanners. Yep. All right. We're going to jump into what Tulsi had to say. This is what Tulsi says here. I'm going to pause it probably about, I don't know, a couple like maybe a minute in, but what he says here is, I was listening to this on the way home from church, and I was like, man, that's another savage moment that I want to share with you guys.
You know, Tulsi, when Mark Cuban says Donald Trump doesn't like to surround himself with smart, intelligent, independent women, it's hard not to see that's a direct shot at Kellyanne Conway, Kayleigh McEnany, Linda McMahon, a whole host of other women as well, including you, Tulsi. It seems like it's a direct shot at someone like you.
You know, there's actually something much darker that he is implying there, because the premise of his statement is that he believes that Liz Cheney and female warmongers like her are what define.
First off, she was talking about Liz Cheney, and they pull up
that Liz Cheney.
They pull up an image of Mark Cuban,
and female warmongers like her are what defines strong women. They are hypocrites and cowards, because when you look at people like Liz Cheney, she is eager to send our troops into harm's way. She is eager to advocate for more stupid wars, but she and other warmongers like her will never volunteer to put their lives on the line for these military adventures they're advocating in. I just finished a couple of days of Army Reserve duty at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, and yet
that right there is one of the coolest freaking things. Honestly, Tulsi's something else, man. For her to say this right here.
A couple of days of Army Reserve military adventures they're advocating in. I just finished a couple of days of Army Reserve duty at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, and yet
I just finished a couple days of Army Reserve duty. I think that is one of the coolest freaking things that Tulsi could say, you know? She's a beast in a great, amazing way. Beautiful, intelligent. She knows what she wants. It's great.
yesterday morning, I stood there on the graduation field and saw a few hundred brand new soldiers graduating from basic training, probably 1,000 family members there to celebrate them. And it was so moving. And I was thinking about people like Liz Cheney when I was watching them, because these are the young men and women who will pay the price, potentially with their lives, if people like Liz Cheney, Dick Cheney, and Kamala Harris are allowed to be in power. This is one of the many reasons why I'm so strongly advocating for and supporting for President Trump to go back to the White House.
Epic. Amateur Hour says in Pennsylvania, NBC already posted the results of the election in PA for Kamala, just like they did in Arizona in an election between Katie Hobbs and Carrie Lake. Yeah, I did see that. And they claimed that it was testing. It happened a previous year as well. I think it was during an F1 race, if I'm not mistaken. But for them to do that, I don't know if they're potentially priming the public or if it was a quote unquote true mistake. But for them to do that multiple years in a row, I think it's a little gaslighting there. Gina. Juan says Tulsi has bigger balls than Mark. I bet. Yeah, Tulsi is a badass. She's great. She's absolutely great. Jenny says it was upsetting. It appeared. Okay. Tulsi's a baddie. Yep. 100%. Yeah. But I thought the SNL skit was, man, her campaign is just, it's flopping and floundering and getting all these endorsements from Hollyweird. It's gross. Honestly upset. You know, Republicans weren't on it in 2020 simply because of what was going on, you know, with the C-19 stuff. But now we're seeing all these cases of potential voter suppression and voter fraud. And it is honestly, it's been incredibly disheartening to see where our elections have gone. And shout out to Elon for buying X, because X is one of the only free speech platforms. And a lot of you guys in the chat already know this, from commenting on these videos or seeing potential quote unquote like shadow bans on videos, or suppression of videos. So shout out to Elon for buying X and creating one of the only free speech social media platforms out there, aside from like Rumble. Rumble is up there, but in regards of market share, I think X has a higher market share. But let's see what else is going on in the chat. Yeah, Trump is suing CBS. I think it's for like, what is it, $60 million or something like that, for editing Kamala Harris's interview. John says there's talk about Saturday Night Live violation of the fair game. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Cindy says Hollywood is a sick bunch of folks. It is scary. It is scary. SNL violated equal time rule. Yep. And they don't even have enough time to, get Trump in before the election. So $1 million? Let me see. Let me look it up real quick. Let's see what it says. Oh, it's Trump sues CBS over 60-minute interview demanding 10 billion, actually. Let's see. Let me pop this on the screen here. So it says former President Donald Trump filed a lawsuit Thursday against CBS demanding $10 billion in damages over the network's 60-minute interview with Vice President Kamala Harris. The suit was immediately ridiculed by the First Amendment attorneys, who called it frivolous and dangerous. This is what they're calling a lot of the claims, and they did the same thing back in 2020 regarding election suppression and election interference. But looks like it's 10 billion here. Let me see if I can find something else. Yep. So Fox News, Trump sues CBS for $10 billion, alleging deceptive tactics. Yep. Just pray everyone stays peaceful. Yeah, I know prior to me jumping on, a lot of you guys were talking about just what may happen regardless on what side wins. There might be some potential unrest in there might be. All right, coolio guys, I am going to jump out of here as well. He also needs to sue MSNBC for calling him a Nazi. Yeah, I think that's, me personally, that's defamation. And then calling all Trump supporters Nazis. Shoot. Like, and that term is so, it's a bunch of BS. It is a bunch of BS to say that. And then to call everybody that attends these rallies Nazis, that's crap. Anyways, I'm going to jump on out of here, guys. If you're catching this on the replay, type replay in the comment section down below. Mods, some of the best mods in the business. Round of applause for all the mods. And you guys, everybody in the live chat, shout out to everybody in the live chat. Really, really appreciate you guys. And I will be posting in the community section when and how to join election night. I'm super excited. We're going to be streaming it live to get the results So again, shout out to everybody watching. Drop your comments down below, and I will catch you guys on the next one.